And welcome back to another Koze Daily Brew. Today I figured while we sat and chatted, we could talk about my pet peeves. Why? I don't know. We've been talking a lot about deeper topics in this season of the Koze Daily Brews, so I thought it would be a little fun to talk about something a bit different than usual. Also, I'm taking in a lot of requests in terms of the September Koze Daily Brews, so leave any requests you guys have down below. Now there is a bit more of a theme to September's, which I'll let you guys in on pretty soon, but think anything gist related. Anything gist related you guys want to talk about next season come September, leave that comment down below. So the first and biggest pet peeve I would say that I have is repetitive sounds or movement. Like repetitive movements out of the corner of my eye and my peripherals. I just like, even in general, I was at Starbucks the other day and the dude 2 tables down from me, there was no one in the table in between us, and his leg was just like bouncing, like he was like nervous about something, and I couldn't unsee it out of my eye. And it is not an annoyance by any means in the sense of like I'm annoyed by the person. I just like, I don't know what it is, but I find it really hard to concentrate when there's like repetitive movements or repetitive sounds going on anywhere in my general just like area. I find that if there's somebody that is like crunching something really loudly, like I don't know why visually, like I can hear the crunching right now, and I don't know what it is, guys, but that sound of like really loud crunching or just really loud chewing or repetitive sounds of any nature, and I just like wig out completely in the sense that like I can't even stop it. I'll be like, can you not? And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I got triggered there. And this even goes as far as like if I'm at the movies and there's a sound going on in the background, or if I'm watching TV and there's sounds that are not related to the show that I'm watching, it's like I can't not notice, you know? And so my attention or my focus is instantly drawn to like the repetitive sound or the repetitive movement and pulled away from whatever it is I'm trying to focus on. And I think that that's where my frustration gets in, because then I'm just like. So my second biggest pet peeve is there's 2 versions of it. They're 2 completely opposite versions. So the first one is when someone is walking right on your heels, like when you're walking in the mall or you're walking down the sidewalk and someone is just like right behind you, like right behind you, and not trying to pass you and also not trying to slow down to give you some personal space. They just like stay right behind you, like they're breathing down your neck. And that just drives me freaking wild. I am not from Toronto, I'm from Kingston, so I'm not used to having so many people on like the busier sidewalks. So here in Toronto, when you go walking places, a lot of the times, yes, the sidewalks are gonna be busy, the mall is gonna be busy. That doesn't bother me. Like, I get that like general personal space is kind of out the window when you live in a big city, but I'm talking about when someone like stays right in that blind spot, just right behind you, and you can feel them almost like you're being chased. You know in nightmares when you're being chased, and that feeling, that's the feeling I get when someone's just walking like right behind me, especially if I'm with like Larissa or whatever, and we're trying to just like have a nice conversation and talk, and we can just tell that someone's just like right there. I don't know what it is, it just drives me wild. But then the second version of that is slow walkers. So I guess I can't really, beggars can't be choosers. So if I'm begging people not to walk on my heels, I also can't stand when I'm walking behind somebody and they walk really slow, or they just stop dead in the middle of like a hallway or a sidewalk, and then you're like, where are you going? I'd step over to the side a little bit. I don't know, just a suggestion. Okay, so my third biggest pet peeve, these are not in order by any means, by the way. I was just like trying to brainstorm them and I threw them down on a list, but the third one is catcalling. This pet peeve is like one of those pet peeves that I try not to like react to, because I find that the more you react to it, the more it kind of just like makes it more of an issue. But there is nothing that bothers me more than when you're walking down the street or you're out with your friends at a nice dinner, or maybe you're even just like out at a bar, I don't know, wherever you are, and someone catcalls you. Catcalling meaning like whistling at you or yelling things at you, being like, hey hottie, come over here. And I'm just like, does that ever work for you? Have you ever catcalled somebody and they were like, wow, thanks, and like came over and started up a conversation with you? Probably not. But now I just feel uncomfortable. I'm feeling like I want to hide. I'm feeling like I want to cover myself up. And that really bothers me for some reason. I guess just because you're a female, or just because you chose to wear something that you feel good and confident in, doesn't give other people the right to like scream and yell things at you or whistle at you or just like call you out. Because in a lot of ways, catcalling is calling someone out. I'm getting fired up, guys. There is like the whole, I know I've read this before, where people are like, okay, well, like don't wear things that are going to draw attention to you. And I just like, okay, I think that there is some common sense there. Like, if I was walking around the middle of the city in like a bikini, that would be a little weird. Like, I wouldn't be wearing full-on clothes. But that said, I mean, if you want to walk around the city in a bikini, go for it if that's what tickles your fancy and makes you feel confident. Still doesn't give anyone the right to yell at you or to like call you out or whatever. But that said, like, I think that people should be able to wear whatever they want, whatever they feel confident in, without being afraid to be singled out in public, like so publicly. It just bothers me. It bothers me so much because it's so, I think that there's something about knowing that when someone's whistling at you, or when a man is like yelling like things at you that are like really kind of offside or inappropriate, it's that feeling of being looked at like a slab of meat. And I really just can't with that feeling. I really can't. And I used to react to it. For an example, when I was in Cuba with Christine, she warned me that the catcalling there was like a bad thing. And I just kind of like threw it over my shoulder. I was like, it won't be that bad. It was bad. And then when it got bad, I probably had a pina colada in me, or maybe two. And someone started catcalling us when we were walking down the street. And I just turned around and started barking at them like a dog. If you're gonna whistle at me, then I'm gonna turn around and bark at you like a dog. Because I whistle at my dog. I whistle at Bentley when I need his attention. I don't whistle at people when I think that they're attractive. I try and go up and have a decent conversation with them. You know, it's just common sense. I did not think talking about my pet peeves would get me this riled, you know? It's getting annoying. My fourth pet peeve is people that don't use just like proper manners. It's not like a massive pet peeve of mine. Like if I do something for somebody, like hold the door and they don't say thank you, or someone like, you know, you leave room for a car to cut in and they don't toss you the nice courtesy wave of like, thanks man. It like doesn't bother me in the sense that I like get really stirred up by it. But I mean more so like common sense manners. Like if someone just like outwardly like belches, just like a big ass burp, I think that that's funny. But I just like, for some reason, it just feels incomplete if it's not followed up with like an excuse me. When you're out at a restaurant and someone's just like really rude to the waiter, and the waiter didn't do anything. Like I can understand that like if the food was really late, or if there was an actual scenario, I still don't think you should be rude. I don't think you should be rude to waiters. I just think that there's a way to handle things. But people that are just even rude when the waiter's like on point and the people are still rude to service providers, like that makes me want to evaporate into thin air. Like I cannot comprehend just being so just viciously rude. Not even viciously rude. Sometimes it even just like, I consider it rude when like if you don't even make eye contact with the person that's like, what would you like to order? Just look up and like invite this person in, like body language, you know, just those kind of manners. I don't know what, you know what, I do know what. When I was really little, one thing I will say my parents ingrained into us was manners. And maybe because of that, I noticed right away when I noticed like someone else is kind of lacking some manners. But there's only like a few times that it really grinds my gears, and it's when it's towards like another person or like a service provider. If it's just rude to being someone for no freaking reason, not saying excuse me after burping, I don't know why, but that one really bothers me. When you are like talking to somebody and it's just one-on-one and you're like supposed to be spending quality alone time and they're just like looking at their phone. Like if you're sitting at a dinner table and you're having a discussion and they're like, what? Huh? No, that's just proper manners to me, and I just can't. Okay, and then my last, and I would say probably the biggest pet peeve of mine, at least in recent years, and this one's like a bit more of like, it's a pet peeve, but it's also just like a thing that, I feel like I'm Peter Griffin right now. Do you guys ever watch that Family Guy episode where he's like, you know what really grinds my gears? Like I feel like that's what this whole Koze Daily Brew is, but you wanna know what really grinds my gears is when people aren't being upfront. And I feel like that's a bit more of a generic pet peeve, but let me get further into it because there's like a couple different things that fall under that umbrella. I can understand like being kind, not upfront in the sense of like if you're going to be upfront, it's going to hurt someone's feelings. Like if you're like, I think your hair looks absolutely ugly in braids, you don't have to be that upfront with me. Like that's not the kind of upfront I'm talking about. I'm talking about the upfront where it's like, okay, let's say for instance, someone has a problem with you and they're telling everybody else about their problem with you, but then when they're around you, they don't tell you what their problem is. Like, or not being upfront in the sense of like, I guess like in general, just when people take your ideas and then like take your credit for it, and then they're not upfront with the fact that like they kind of got the idea from you or stole your ideas, like that really grinds my gears. Even just not being upfront like in the sense of, okay, if someone's like over exaggerating a situation or being really like sad, but it's almost like a fake sad to get sympathy or to get like someone's attention, like that, I just have like zero tolerance for it. I just can't, like I'm not very good at being mean, but I will say when my pet peeves are triggered, I am the type to just like get up and walk out of a room. Like I can't. And then there's just like these little tiny behavioral things that like when they happen, I just physically cannot. I feel like there was like one more under this umbrella of just like not being upfront. Oh, I know what it is. Taking advantage of a situation, taking advantage of a person, open face lying, and then just like having to stand there awkwardly and be like, oh yeah, okay. Anything that like allures even close to passive aggressiveness, and it just, no, I can't. And it's bad because I'm a hypocrite, because I can sometimes also be passive aggressive when I'm maybe not in the best mood ever, but I try and catch myself in it because it is such a pet peeve of mine. Like I just don't like when people aren't upfront, even if it's just as much as being like, I'm sorry, I'm just in a weird mood right now, like whatever. That is at least more upfront to me than just being like, no, everything's fine, or like just like lying, or like, you know, just, we've already discussed all the things. So yeah, those are all of my pet peeves. I think I made it through the whole thing without swearing, guys. I'm pretty proud of myself. Let me know what your guys' pet peeves are down below. Did any of my pet peeves trigger your pet peeves? Do you relate? And if not, then let me know what yours are down below. And aside from that, I'll talk to you guys all in the next Koze Daily Brew. Bye guys.